What if I told you this Nigerian fisherman soup didn't require expensive seafood? Today, I'll show you how I made this flavorful pot using affordable ingredients. If you want a fisherman soup recipe that is simple, delicious, and budget-friendly, you are going to love this one. Let's start by taking a look at everything we are using for this recipe. I have some fresh okra. This is completely optional, so if you don't like okra or you prefer your soup without it, you can simply leave it out. For the seafood, I'll be using fresh catfish that has been properly cleaned and cut into 7 pieces. Then we have the shelled periwinkle, dried prawns. I prefer dried prawns because I enjoy the flavor more than the fresh ones. And also we have blended crayfish, which adds a rich seafood taste to the soup. To build the flavor, I'm using yellow pepper and Scotch bonnet pepper for a nice level of heat. I also have fresh Uziza leaves, which gives the soup its distinctive aroma and taste. For the thickener, I'm using Achi, but you don't have to use it. You can easily substitute it with Ofo, cocoyam, or even yam. They all work well, although the texture may vary slightly depending on the one you choose. To season everything, I'm using pepper soup spice, Uziza powder, seasoning cubes, palm oil, and salt to taste. Now that we have all our ingredients ready, let's move on to the cooking process. I will start by blending the peppers. I'm using the yellow pepper and Scotch bonnet pepper, then adding little water to help everything blend smoothly. I don't like to make it completely smooth. I prefer a little texture because it gives the soup a more natural homemade feel. As for the quantity of the pepper, feel free to adjust it to your taste. I love my food nice and spicy, so I'm using quite a bit, but you can use less if you prefer it milder. With the pepper nicely blended, it is time to start cooking. So I added some palm oil to my pot, then allow it to get it up gently. You want the oil to be hot but not bleached so it retains the rich color and flavor. So I pour in the blended pepper mixture, then season it with seasoning cubes, salt, pepper soup spice, and just little Uziza powder. Give everything a good stir so the flavors can combine before adding the fish. Now it's time for the catfish to be added. Gently place the cleaned catfish into the pot and carefully stir everything together. Be gentle at this stage because catfish is delicate and stirring too vigorously can cause it to break apart. If you are wondering how I cleanse my catfish, one of the easiest ways to remove the slime is by pouring hot water, not boiling water, but hot water, then gently scrape off the slime with back of the knife. I have a detailed demonstration in my seafood okra soup video, so be sure to check it out after watching this one if you would like to see the full process. After about 5 minutes, the catfish should be firm enough to handle. At this point, gently turn each piece over so that the other side can cook evenly for about another 5 minutes. Take your time with this step and avoid stirring too much, as the catfish can easily break apart. If you don't have catfish, you can also make this fisherman soup with fresh croaker or tilapia fish. Just keep in mind that different types of fish may cook at slightly different rates, so keep an eye on them to avoid overcooking. While the fish is cooking, let's prepare the vegetables. For this recipe, I'm using fresh Uziza leaves. I've already picked and thoroughly washed them and now I'm slicing them thinly. And if you're enjoying this recipe and picking up a few helpful tips along the way, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really supports the channel and helps more people discover these authentic Nigerian recipes. At this point, the catfish has been cooking for about 10 minutes, so it is time to build the flavor of the soup. I gently opened the pot, I added more water to create the soup base, then using my spoon, I carefully moved the fish around. Be as gentle as possible here so the fish stays whole. I added little more Uziza powder and pepper soup spice to deepen the flavor, followed by blended crayfish, my dried prawns. If you are using fresh prawns or shrimps instead, this is the perfect time to add them. I prefer dried prawns because they are more affordable, they are easier to store, and they still give the soup a rich seafood flavor. It is a simple way to make a delicious fisherman soup without spending too much. Once everything is in, I give the soup another gentle stir, then taste it and adjust the seasoning with another seasoning cube and just little salt. Please always taste before adding more seasoning. You can always add more, but it's much harder to fix an over-seasoned soup. After doing all of that, it is time to thicken the soup. Earlier, I mixed my achi with little water to prevent lumps, so I pour the achi in gradually into the soup base. If you are using cocoyam or four or yam instead, this is when you add it as well. You just have to boil your cocoyam or yam, then blend them, or if you are using ofo, you mix it as well. I'll let the soup cook for about 5 minutes while I prepare the okra. This step is completely optional, but I like adding okra because it helps bring everything together. I'm cutting my okra into bigger chunks because that is how I enjoy it, but you can slice yours more thinly if you prefer. The smaller you cut it, the more it draws out its natural sliminess, while larger pieces keep the texture a bit milder. If you're not a fan of okra, feel free to leave it out entirely. The soup will still be just as delicious, so don't be afraid to make this recipe your own way. Before we move on, I would love to hear from you. Do you add okra to your fisherman soup or do you prefer your fisherman soup without okra? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. So now that the soup has thickened, if you prefer it thicker, you can add more thickener to it. At this point, I added the shelled periwinkle followed by the chopped okra and sliced Uziza leaves. Since the fish is already cooked and tender, give everything a very gentle stir to avoid the fish breaking apart. Here is a helpful tip. If you are worried about your fish breaking, you can carefully remove it from the pot before adding the thickener. Once the thickener has cooked and you've added the periwinkle, okra, and uziza leaves, simply return the fish to the pot. It's a simple trick that helps keep every piece intact, especially if you are serving guests. Now I will let everything cook uncovered for about a minute. That is just enough time for the uziza leaves to wilt, the okra to cook through while still keeping a bit of texture, and the periwinkle to absorb all those rich flavors without overcooking. I'll be enjoying my fisherman soup with some yellow eba, but I would love to know which Nigerian swallow would you pair with fisherman soup? Let me know in the comments below. If you love to learn how to make this yellow eba, you'll find full recipe links in the description box. And don't forget to check out my other Nigerian swallow recipes here on the channel. If you enjoyed this recipe, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel and join our growing family. Thank you so much for watching, my people. I will see you in the next one.